Good morning, everybody. Glad you could make it out. Appreciate it. This is low budget today, just so you know. The honorarium has not come in, so I couldn't spend much time putting things together. So, anyways, we're gonna fill in for Stan here for the next few months and see what we can do. Got a few ideas. I think we can mix things up a little bit. We're always happy to have someone share a testimony like we have been doing. Also, I think there's some other things that we can kind of, put in from time to time, because sometimes people go, well, I've heard enough now. I need something a little bit different. But and that's probably what today is. But anyways, but if you have not shared, your testimony or want to do that, please let us know. We're happy to do that and have you share with us in that sense. And these are all on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, on our website. And you can go back, if you've missed anybody, you can go and watch them all. I mean, we got a bulk of you that are on there. Appreciate that. So just be aware of that. I've thought about having... just put this out there. I thought about having my brother. He used to be a ranger at the El Dorado Lake, and he's a really good photographer. And he's put some things together, and then made a presentation and with a devotional piece to it. And thought, well, what would that look like if we brought him in sometime? Would you be interested in something like that? I mean, yeah, it might be. So anyways, there's some things he does. I mean, he's taken a lot of eagles over there and other places he's been. And depending on how things go this week, because I'm leaving tomorrow right after church for the high country, because once again the mountains are calling, as are the elk. And I must bring one home. Or, well, you know how it is. But I usually take a fair amount of pictures when I'm up there too. And... sometimes I put those to a presentation. I've done that before. So who knows? Maybe I can actually show you something. And then like the one guy in Mulvane says, same old, you go, you come back, nothing. It all depends what happens. All right, well, I thought of some things today, and when Stan asked if I'd share a couple things, and I meant to get with even with Rick Cole to see if we could tag team some things, but we had a funeral coming on, and this week was kind of crazy, so I'm pretty sure that Rick doesn't mind that he doesn't have to get up and give a spiel or anything, but be that as it may, he would be, I think, appreciative of some of the things I'm going to say today, as well as what you all might hear and be involved in. When I told Stan I was going to share a thought or two, I said, well, how about if I call it, If I Had a Hammer? Remember that song? If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. Well, I don't know that it was so much about this kind of stuff, because it was about peace and justice and these kind of things, and which is all a great thing. But as I was thinking about a hammer, the reason I think about that is we need people who know how to swing a hammer, and we need people who are willing to share some of the gifts that they have. And so I thought, well, let's just go through a few of these things and talk about them. If you recall in Matthew 7, where Jesus had spent time on the Sermon on the Mount, and he'd gone through... Well, he didn't say, I'm now in chapter 5, I'm now in chapter 6. He went through and shared some things. But at the end of chapter 7, it talks about how all this was to be put into practice. And you're a wise person if you build your house upon the rock. And in the following of the teachings and so forth of Jesus, you'll be wise building upon his teachings and so forth. If you don't, you'll be foolish like the one building the house upon what? The sand, right. So I thought, well, the house, as we think about the house being the house of the Lord, and the church being not just a building as far as facilities, but being about the people, I thought about, well, what's that mean to build the house of the Lord? What's it mean to build with what we want to do as far as the church is concerned and so forth? And so I thought, well, yeah, it takes a hammer. I mean, somebody had to actually physically build this. But then to keep the church going, we have to continue to be there for one another, both inside, within the life of the body, and then in the outreach in our community. So I thought, well, there's some things that we could do. And if you think about 1 Corinthians 12 and Romans 12 and Ephesians 4, there's several passages that talk about our spiritual gifts. Within that passage, or those passages, they lift up two gifts called services and helps. And guys seem to hang out there a lot. In fact, I think sometimes guys tend to avoid the fact that they actually maybe have another spiritual gift or two, maybe in the area of teaching or things like that, leadership or whatever, because they'd just rather swing a hammer. Well, okay, let me just tap into that then, if that's kind of the guys we are. So I brought a bunch of stuff. As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff. All right? So, I'll go over here. Can you hear me now? Okay. So, I wanted to make sure that you knew that I did bring a hammer. All right? So, I found when I was in high school, I was raised on the farm, I thought everybody knew how to swing a hammer. But when I was there, we were building a little set for, in the gymnasium, a little wooden platform actually, for where the drum set was going to be. And the drummer, he could play a good drum, but he could not swing a hammer. I'm thinking, what the heck's the matter with you? I mean, he had a nail, and he was holding it like here, and it's like, you're like a girl. Had to teach him how to swing a hammer. Anyway, so what we have in the life of the church are people who need someone to swing a hammer or to use any of these types of tools. For example, the other morning we had a person, in this case, just needed someone to help move a little bit of furniture and some boxes. Our problem was we got the phone call so late that morning. They needed to have it done within like a couple hours. And we just didn't have the pool to jump into and say, okay, I'm going to call. We did call a couple people, but like yourself, your back was out. That didn't work. We had, a few people like that. And so we were kind of behind the eight ball on that. So we're thinking, well, how can we have a little database of people, not just these in here, but of guys and gals in the life of the church who we could tap into when we have a need. Bobby sometimes will have a need about just cleaning her gutters. Hey, most of the time we could take a little bit of time to do something like that. Sometimes we need to go fix a railing. Sometimes we need to do some of those kind of things. So, thus the reason I lift up the hammer today is because we have opportunities to help one another. Now, I'm not talking about those who don't want to take a little responsibility on themselves, because there are those that would love to just call and say, come do this for me. And there's family members who choose for some reason not to be active in their parents' lives or others, and on and on and on we go. There's some that choose not to help themselves a little bit. Now don't make me say a verse like God helps those who help themselves, because that's not biblical. He helps those who can't help themselves, and that's what we're a part of. But we're trying not to enable people. We're trying to help people in the process. And so, I was thinking about the various ways we do that. Now, when I was in Salina, we offered a day, and I don't know if this is something we want to do sometime. We offered a day when we did an oil change day for people in the area. Now, they had to provide the filter and the oil, but we provide the labor. And so it worked out pretty good. We put the word out, and people would come, and especially those people that just didn't have the resources. They had enough to buy maybe the oil and so forth, but it was a little cheaper. It gave us opportunities, and so that was a good kind of a day. I think about the reality is good old baling wire. You get a piece of baling wire and a pliers, you can fix about anything. There's a spiritual gift to this. Honestly, and if I was looking for duct tape at home, and we used it all up. Duct tape, baling wire, and a pair of pliers, and you're set. You can help people, you can lead people to Jesus with baling wire. You can put things back together again. That's what God came to do, was put things together again. And so, this is all boogered up and so forth. But my wife says, why do you keep everything? Because I'm going to need it. and there's a time I'm going to use this piece of wire. All right? Just the other day, we needed something, and I thought, I think I have that. She says, why do you keep that old toilet plunger thing? Well, you never know. Yeah, right? Well, anyway, so a little level, right? For those of you who are real, like Michael, for example, he likes the pictures to be like this, right? I'm like that too, because we'll walk by and we'll straighten out a picture and stuff. And I think God wants us to be on the level with people as we go about doing our work. And that, He keeps us on the straight and narrow in this sense. And in this case, this is amazing. As I look at it, the bubble is right in the middle on this thing. That's amazing. Otherwise, I'd have to put something under there. But for us, to help people, it does help people stay on the level in the sense of helping them understand that the church actually does care for them, and we aren't sending them ditch to ditch and so forth. Now, a lot of these levels I have longer ones and they have measurements on them. That's why I brought this. Actually, a couple. You all know what these are, tape measures, and I've got a bunch of these. What's interesting about the bulk of my tape measures is that so many of these tape measures were somebody else's, that when they helped me build something, they forgot them, and I asked about them, and nobody claimed them. So this one, and I think this one here, and another one. I mean, look at that. That's awesome. Thanks for leaving them. It's like the Cox people last week, or 2 weeks ago. They came and dug a line, and all of a sudden I thought, well, why did Mary Lou leave our shovel out there up against the fence? Come to find out, I have another shovel. But that leads into another devotion, is that you don't want to dig yourself into a hole. And when you get in the hole, don't be shy to contact people. And what's happened is certain people at times get themselves dug in a hole, and then they're just too ashamed to call somebody. They've gone a little too deep. But we've all been there. Let's be there for one another in the process. Let's throw each other the rope. Let's pull them out of the hole and be there for one another. But anyways, on this, I wanted to read a verse about the measure here. Okay, and it comes from Luke. It's in a context of judging others, but be careful with what we do with it. It talks about, do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. And I think we have to be careful, is that God gives us a lot of gifts, and He gives us things, and with what we have, we are to use them, or even they will be taken from us, Scripture will say. And so let's be careful with that. I'd like us to, be sensitive to those that are around us. With what God has given us, let's use it for His glory. Now, I wish I had the gifts that Rick over there had with woodworking and building and things. I know I could have learned it, but I never did in the way that he does. I know there's several of you that way. That we could call you and you can fix things in a way. I can do things I've been gifted with. You can do things you're gifted in, and we have a variety of things along the way. There are some, like my dad, who's a jack of all trades. I think probably he's a Rick of all trades. But on the farm like that, you become a mechanic, you become a carpenter, you become a mathematician, because you got to figure out all that goes into, planting seed and all those kind of things. So, anyways, what I'd like with some kind of, I'll call it a database, but something that would just say, okay, here's something where, here's the gifts I have. And if so-and-so, if a person ran into a problem, here's where I could help. Sometimes it's just purely moving boxes, like I said the other day, just being available. And the other part of it is, many times it's just a social thing on the other person's part, because they just want somebody to talk to, So, I was looking for these yesterday, and I just found them when I grabbed this thing. These little ties, but blessed be the tie that binds, right? You knew I was going there. But the other piece of it is, The other part is with my tape here is you can fix a lot of things with the old black tape too, and so that's pretty helpful. I know a lot of people, just need a little help with a little bit of tape, that we help tape things together, to hold things together for them, because their lives are falling apart. When life is crazy and your fences are falling apart, you need one of fencer pliers, right? Anybody used one of these before? And you can do a lot with those things. You know what I'm talking about. And you get that grip and you pull and you twist and whatnot. There's a lot of things. Now the other part in this toolbox is the reminder that God's got His grip on us, right? Thank you very much. But so what we want to do is, in the sharing of our gifts, is express our care for others in the sense of God's care for us, and that His grip is on us, and that we don't want to lose anybody. I mean, we don't want, if somebody is in need, we want to be able to be there and let them know that they're in not only the Lord's grip, but in the grip of the church, that we would care for them. Everything's a sermon illustration. This isn't from Captain. What is this? Hay hook. That's a hay hook. How many of you use one of these? I know. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's amazing how there's a lot of people who would have no idea what this is. But sometimes we just need to grasp a hold. And so people, interestingly enough, people are trying to grab a hold. And so we're kind of the hay hooks of the church, to help people hang on, help people hook into something, help people grasp, hang on to things. So everything reminds us that we can be there for others. Little bolt cutters, or lock, if you want to get into somebody's locker. I don't know anything about that, but anyways, sometimes people get themselves in a fix. And actually, there are times when there are folks who've literally have some locks and they need to get in and they don't know what to do. Sometimes we just happen to have the right tools to help people along the way. So, what else do I have? Oh. Well, sometimes in our lives, we need to have the Holy Spirit seal us back up. We begin to kind of just slip away. We begin to leak that which is of good, the good that God has given us through His church and so forth. And so what you need is one of these, right? You got the Holy Spirit caulking gun, all right, that seals us back. I mean, you like that? So it is a little stretch, but it seals us. And what the Spirit does, I mean, in the New Testament, talk about the seal, the deposit. And so we have opportunities to do this. And literally for people who do need this, especially around windows and stuff, this isn't hard. You've used these, most of you, before, where you can just use a little bit of that sealant and help them out. The other part of it is that people need to get shimmed up, right? So get some shims here. This is contractor grade, so it's good, right? Yeah, okay. But that's part of what we do for one another, for the church, to help shim each other up, hold each other up, to be there for one another. And, the shims then fill the gaps. And so we have a lot of things here that are filling the gaps that are helpful for us today. Sometimes we just need to have a straight edge, and so we have to cut that for people. So you've seen these before, and a sheetrock cutter or whatnot. And so pretty helpful. But I think you're getting my point by now. This is the pair of pliers that goes with the baling wire. Now this one's pretty nice. I mean, when I was a kid, if you got an actual pair of good pliers, that was great. If you had something with a handle on it like this, my problem was I didn't have any money, so I'd have to go down to Duck Walls and buy a Globe Master pair of pliers, and they lasted about one time because the little nut wouldn't stay onto the screw and stuff. But I actually got a pair of these for Pat Ashton for her birthday. Now here's how it happened. You remember the garage sale we had? They had a table full of tools, and by the way, we priced them way too low, just so you know. Somebody said, you can tell women price these tools. But people got a good deal. Well, I found a pair of pliers like this, and I thought, awesome. I'd forgot I already had one. I had it on my desk, and then I was talking to Pat Ashton as she was folding bulletins that following day. No, that same day. And she said something about, it was her birthday, and she said, you know, all I want for my birthday is a pair of pliers. So I happened to have a pair of pliers, and so she had left already, so I gave them to Dick to give to her. And she was just tickled. There you go. Nothing better than that. Well, as I said, again, we need to make sure that we're in the grip of the Father through what we do, and that as He grabs hold of us, we can grab a hold of others and be there for others. So really, I mean, you know, you're getting the point by now. What we have are a few needs in the life of the church. We have people, what we're kind of thinking about right now is just to be available for some of those that are in need, that say, give us a call and say, man, do you have anybody who could come and do this? If that'd be of interest to you, I'd love to have you to sign up for that. Maybe you could sign up what you do for, you know, what some of your gifts are. The other one, and here's a real shameless plug, but not very shameless, because our block party's coming up in a few weeks. And here's where we really need some help. This isn't hard work. A lot of this is handing somebody a sandwich. A lot of this is at being like a greeter at one of the little bounce houses, just to be there to get kids in. Hour and a half at a pop or something. Some of it's set up and tear down, and there's not really it's not too difficult, because most of the people that are bringing their things already are going to be doing that. We have some hospitality. If you're really outgoing, we want an outgoing person to work the crowd. We have a few of those we're already tapped into. Registration at a table where we sign people in and stuff. I think I said food already. This year what we're doing for food, it's a little interesting, a little different, is that Chick-fil-A has given us a deal on their sandwiches. And so we're gonna hand out Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and then we'll have some chips and little packets of cookies, I think, and then a can of pop. And so a little different this year, but it frees a few people up in the kitchen too, and so that's part of that. If we have some pumpkin painting that we're going to do. I think we have some of the preschool folks helping us with that. But anyways, I'm going to set this over here if you'd like to help us out on any of this. That'd be good too. So that's what we're talking about. All right, guys? We've been given gifts. We don't want to do the old 80-20 rule where 20% of the people do 80% of the work. We want to spread it out. Now we realize that not everybody in this room is 20 anymore. So don't worry, I'm harping on younger people, all right? So it's just that they're not up yet, except for Justin. You got to give it to him. He's up and at 'em. So we can have him sign 2 or 3 things, right? Because he's young. Yeah. Plus he's an Iowa State guy. We got to put it on him a little bit. He's all excited today because Sports Center is at Ames, Iowa. So he can't wait to get out of here to go watch it. So that's what we're doing. It's a little bit of what we're about. If you have ideas with regards to speakers, or even, with regards to testimonies, or some of the things like I've talked about, to have someone come in and share some of what they do and give us a little devotion. Personally, I'd really like us each week to be done pretty much at 9 o'clock. I think for visitors, if we try and get visitors, if we're here a long, long time and just drone on and on, I think we can lose people. So I'd rather be on the short end than the long end when we get people to come in, and so let's kind of be thinking about that too. But that's kind of where we're at. Any questions, thoughts, comments? I kept the mic on the whole time? That's amazing. All right, usually I shut it off on Daryl and John. So anyways, all right, well, let's close in prayer. I'll put this list out here, and if you'd like to sign up and help us out or let us know, and away we go. A couple of us are going to have to move on to the next thing. We got a funeral going on here in an hour. So let's pray. God, thank you for the day. We give you thanks for the gifts that you've given us. We know, Lord, that you have given us all gifts, a variety of them. We need each other. We don't all have the same gift by far, but we do know that we're all called to use what we have for you. We know, Lord, that what we have is to be used for you, and what we have, if we don't use, unfortunately often can be taken away. So we don't want that to happen. Help us to be sensitive to the needs of others around us, to be paying attention to that, and to be willing to help as we are able. Help us work together in this process so that we might further your work in the kingdom. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Have a great day.